Run Macy's Jubei. This human boy and the fox spirit formed a contract, sharing their heart. The first rule of the contract is to remain unswayed by emotions, yet, this is the most impossible thing for the two of them. Is there really no perfect solution? Today is the first day of school for the human boy, Su Yuan, who entered Ogus Academy as a special recruit. However, on the first night, due to his sweet human scent, he was targeted with ill intent by a demon race teacher. Fortunately, a senior student stopped the teacher's rude behavior and reminded our Susu that humans should not wander alone on campus at night. He kindly tied Susu's tie and suggested, "You should find a pa as soon as possible for better protection." Only then did Susu realize that this was a demon academy filled with various spirits, with a barrier blocking all signals and isolated from the human world. The tearful Susu didn't understand how he got involved with these spirits. After all, he wasn't a control freak for blessings. Just then, a sudden knocking sound came from outside the door. Still in shock, Susu panicked, but the person outside claimed to be a human. Seeing that the visitor was human, Susu was also moved and trembling. The visitor had pink short hair and introduced herself as Susu's mentor, Chunan. Fortunately, there were other humans at the academy. The next day, the two went outside to chat. Chunan told Susu that most of the demon kind were quite friendly. When they encountered a group of demon kind with glowing eyes all staring at Susu, Chunan guessed that Susu hadn't pa yet. What? Pa what? Susu immediately asked. Chunan explained that at August, human students were best to form a pal partnership with a demon kind. This would provide one-to-one protection. Saying so, Chunan lifted her hair to reveal a golden earring, probably the token of Chunan's pal. Returning to the dorm at night, Susu saw the bathroom light on and became nervous. He remembered turning off all the lights when he left. Cautiously opening the door, he saw a black fox with long hair like ink, beast ears, and a fluffy tail, lying on the ground covered in blood. Seeing that the black fox was still alive, Susu went to call for help, but the fox grabbed him and imperiously ordered Susu to bring a medical kit for self-treatment. A night passed as if something was pressing on his chest. Having taken care of the fox demon all night, Susu was exhausted both mentally and physically. As soon as he woke up, he saw the fox looking at him indifferently. My mouth was covered, and I was pinned against the bed and interrogated. Who are you? Why are you in this dorm room, at this fairy academy? Humans need to pair up with a kind of demon for protection. Su Yuan, a human boy without a partner, was bullied by a black fox demon as soon as he enrolled. The domineering black fox demanded, "Who are you? Why are you in this dorm room?" Struggling for breath with his throat clutched, Susu angrily retorted, "That's my question for you. This is my dorm room." At that moment, the black fox noticed the marks left on Susu's body from the choking and realized that the man before him was human. There was a knock on the door from a classmate, and the black fox quickly let go of Susu. Like being caught red-handed, he jumped out of the window and fled the dorm. Susu, watching his retreating figure, was shocked. This is the third floor. Despite being exhausted from a whole night's commotion, he still had to attend classes at school. Shortly after, Susu followed Shunan to the classroom for lessons. When the teacher began roll call, no one responded to the name Fuyu. The students glanced at Susu and then at the black-haired boy sleeping soundly beside him. Kuai Yunan told Susu not to mind him, as no one would intentionally call on him because there are quite a few dangerous rumors about this type of demon. Hearing this, Susu seemed to recall her own past, constantly talked about by all sorts of people. Her sympathy was aroused. Eventually, the compassionate Susu still reached out and patted the black-haired boy. When the student was called during roll call, the black-haired boy turned his head towards Susu. The familiar face startled little Susu. "Why is it him?" Fuyu didn't pay attention to Susu's shock and silently raised his hand. While Susu wasn't paying attention, Fuyu stole a glance at the embarrassed Susu and then continued to lay his head on the desk and fell asleep. After class, Kuai Yunan took Susu to the office and introduced him to the homeroom teacher. Looking at how close Kuai Yunan and the homeroom teacher were, Susu was very puzzled. Kuai Yunan mentioned that the homeroom teacher was his pa, so he could help with anything. Seeing Kuai Yunan's happy expression, Susu couldn't help thinking if she should find a pa for herself too. Before long, Susu was walking alone in the corridor. Suddenly, she heard Black Fox calling out to her. Black Fox skillfully cornered Susu against the wall and questioned her why she reminded him during class when it was time for roll call. In the academy, don't meddle in affairs that don't concern you. With your fragile human body, any demon could easily take your breath away. Although the Black Fox speaks in riddles, Susu has already understood his meaning. He's warning me, Bo Mei. As a single human boy in a demon academy, I'm like a meal on a plate in the eyes of the demons. Many demons have set their sights on him. This cute little rabbit demon has already shown goodwill towards Susu. The demon Yumi not only invited Susu to dine but also often appeared by Susu's side, striking up conversations with Susu for no reason. The two gradually became good friends. One day, they came to the school garden. Susu, wanting to return to the human world, couldn't help but look in the direction of the school gate. But the secluded August, where is not a place ordinary humans can freely enter and exit. Where shall we go today, huh? Unwilling to give up, Susu tried to touch the barrier, only to be zapped back by the barrier with a sizzling electric shock the next second. After being electrocuted, Susu wondered how she got in that night, while Yumi told Susu that she needed a pass to cross the barrier back to the human world. This pass requires the bond, Pa, to apply for it. Susu, who didn't want to find a partner, was troubled. Did she really need to form a bond? At this moment, Yumi took the opportunity to confess, saying he was willing to be Susu's bond. Although he wasn't very strong, he would always protect Susu no matter what happened. As Yumi was expressing himself, he was suddenly knocked to the ground. Several thug-like demons approached, sneering and telling him to get lost. You're just a useless little thing. Look at you, scared and crying again. They then turned to Susu and said, you're the new human who came the day before yesterday. We've been discussing you for a while. Things have been chaotic in August. A human got killed just last Saturday. Don't be short-sighted and choose that loser. Consider me instead. Just as the green-haired demon was about to make a move, Susu forcefully slapped his hand away. She grabbed Yumi and ran toward a crowded area. As Susu was thinking about where to run, the green-haired demon suddenly grabbed her collar. It turned out the green-haired demon had already transformed into his demon form, which was several times stronger than his human form. He easily caught Susu. Just as he was about to do something inappropriate to her, a pair of large hands suddenly pressed him down. In the blink of an eye, the green-haired demon was thrown to the ground. It was the black fox, Fuyu. Who dared to step on my tail? He radiated an aura of intimidation and question, who disturbed my nap just now? Demanding to know who stepped on my tail during my nap, Greenhair and his companion ran away crying upon seeing the powerful Fuyu. Susu recalled the soft sensation under his feet, realizing it was he who had stepped on the black fox, and sheepishly thanked Fuyu. The black fox simply said it was just a lesson for the one who disturbed his peace, it was nothing serious. Then, he glared at the hair beside Susu. Yumi, feeling inexplicably guilty, dared not lift his head until the black fox had left, only then allowing himself to breathe. He then asked Susu how he knew the black fox, and only then did Susu realize Fuyu was a fox demon, merely saying he was a classmate. Following that, Yumi mentioned casually that the black fox was from the same year and was quite the topic of discussion back then. Susu was confused, the same year? But he's in the first grade now. Yumi also didn't know why he had repeated a year, but Susu guessed it was probably because he slept through classes. Recalling Greenhair mentioning a human incident last Saturday, Susu stopped and asked Yumi what happened. At this point, Yumi started crying. It turned out the person involved was Yumi's ex-pal. Sobbing, Susu, unsure how to comfort Yumi, felt somewhat at a loss. Yumi took the initiative to hug Susu, her eyes full of fascination. She said that Susu had the same warm scent as that boy, and it was her favorite scent. During the day, that boy is a harmless and cute rabbit, but at night, he turns into a heart-digging demon rabbit monster. When the human boy Susu first came to August Academy, he wanted to quickly learn about the place, so he went to the library to look up information. Susu's borrowing card was only valid for 3 days, so he had to read as much as possible. As soon as he sat down, Susu started reading books. At this time, a familiar voice interrupted, Su Yuan? You are? Jean? It's really you. The unexpected encounter led the two to start chatting. It looks like you've started to adapt to August, Susu said calmly. No matter how much you struggle, you can't go back to a normal life, so you should adapt to the environment instead of escaping. Seeing such an interesting response, the senior immediately became interested in Susu. When I met you before, I thought you would be more flustered. I didn't expect your adaptability to be so strong. At this moment, Susu looked into the senior's eyes, as if seeing through the long river of time, with an enigmatic feeling. She couldn't help but shyly lower her head and continue reading the book in her hand. Seeing that Susu was reading a demon illustration book, the senior curiously asked him, are there any types of monsters you're particularly interested in? As for Susu, she panically says she isn't, just that there was a weird guy, but she hadn't seen him in any books, guessing he's just a minor monster. Seeing the cute way Susu was teased, the senior found it very amusing and even took the initiative to ask Susu if she wanted to become pal partners with him, claiming that no one would dare to bother her if she was his partner. But in Susu's mind, the image of Mianzi gradually surfaced, and she then declined the senior's invitation. However, the senior gently said that this was the first time he had been rejected, which he found to be a novel experience. He welcomed her to change her mind anytime, and with that, he got up and left. Before they knew it, it was a dark and windy night. As Susu was walking back to her dormitory, she suddenly felt a sticky sensation under her feet. Then, turning around anxiously, she saw a person lying in the corner, already breathless. It was the green-haired guy who had teased her from the sky. A clear childish voice broke the silence. The rabbit that was fragile and adorable in the morning, crying and hugging her, was now covered in bloodstains. Yumi tilted her head and asked, "What are you doing here?" Then, she immediately put on an innocent look and continued, "Why are you still not back at this late hour? The dormitory is already closed. Let me accompany you back. I can help you climb over the wall to get back into the dormitory." Yumi spoke, with blood still dripping from his hands to the ground. At this moment, Susu, shocked, questioned him about what he did. But Yumi, dancing and gesturing innocently, said, "My hands are covered, all dirty. It's all because that guy moved around. It never splashed on me before. My hands are covered," while continuously wiping the blood on his hands and saying he would clean the floor later as well. At this moment, Susu, greatly suppressed, asked, "Did you kill him?" "Yes, because this guy has always looked down on me, and even made a move against Suyuan. Such a thing is absolutely unforgivable, right?" Then, the terrifying Yumi greatly alarmed Susu, who recalled all their past moments together. Following that, she asked about the human from last Saturday. "Your pal, you killed him too, right?" Yumi sighed and said, "Ah, there was no choice. Who asked him to think about leaving me? Every day, what he said to me was about leaving the school, so, I dug out his heart and ate it. This way, he would never, ever leave me." Susu, being human, had no way to intervene. "I could only hold the book tightly in anger. So from the beginning, you were lying to me. All those clumsy and weak appearances were just an act. Unfortunately, this doesn't work on humans. Just a small bottle, and I can become incredibly powerful. It's a pity it doesn't work on humans. Otherwise, Susu, you could feel it too. It's a very, very comfortable feeling." Yumi said this as she kept getting closer to Susu, but seeing Susu's terrified retreat, Yumi instantly came to Susu and asked, "Are you going to abandon me too? Then I'll have to take out your heart, so you can stay with me forever." Cornered step by step by the bunny, Susu grabbed the book and threw it at the bunny. Taking advantage of the chaos, Susu ran into the bushes by the hallway, gasping for breath after running for a long time, thinking that after running through many bushes and taking many detours, he should have shaken her off. But suddenly, Yumi hung upside down from a tree. "He, found you." Then a claw pierced Susu's heart. In his dying moments, Susu only heard the sound of Yumi being kicked away, then he felt himself fall into a warm embrace. This simple human boy has been targeted by the demon bunny, and the yandere rabbit demon, to ensure the boy would never betray her, even tried to take his heart. Just as the boy was about to fall, a fox demon appeared in time to save him. It turned out to be Hey Fox Fuyu, who kicked the rabbit demon away. He then supported the weakened Susu and helped him sit down steadily. "I've been doubting your identity all along, but had no solid evidence. In the past half year, 7 people have died, each with their hearts cleanly removed. But the stench of blood tonight is just unbearable. What, was green hair an unplanned kill for you?" The rabbit demon suddenly charged at Hey Fox with a roar, screaming, "Give him back to me!"
and shouting, "Give him back to me!" easily dodged by the black fox, who at the same time, countered by grabbing the throat of the rabbit demon and then climbed up a tree. At this moment, the rabbit demon was still struggling, shouting, let me go, you can't defeat me, to deal with you I don't even need to transform, to deal with you. You've killed both your kind and humans, violating 2 school rules, enough to exterminate your clan." Hearing this, the rabbit demon retorted angrily, "What's it to you? What's it to you? You have no right to punish me, I have the right to kill you right here." But suddenly, the rabbit demon realized something was amiss. Could it be? You're the Watcher? The next second, the yandere rabbit demon suddenly burst into laughter. But for them to know about this, you need to be alive. As the unknown drug took effect, the rabbit demon's heartbeat accelerated uncontrollably, revealing sharp claws, pupils dilated, then suddenly lunged at the black fox, hallucinogenic drug. At this moment, the rabbit demon became extremely brutal, while shouting, "Die," failed to touch the black fox at all, followed by a knee strike from the black fox. The feeble rabbit demon was once again pushed aside by the tree. Reluctantly, he coughed up a clot of blood and struggled to stand up. But unable to withstand the strong side effects of the hallucinogenic potion, he eventually collapsed to the ground. At this moment, it seemed like the rabbit demon had fallen into an illusion. He continuously grasped at the grass on the ground and began to wail uncontrollably in agony, pleading, don't hate me, don't despise me. Then he recalled the redemption he had encountered before. This is a magic potion. With it, no one will ever look down on you again. But the rabbit demon's body ultimately could not hold on and began to slowly dissipate. At this time, the black fox was just silently watching from the side, thinking that it seemed there was no need for him to take action. Little did they know, at this moment, the so-called redemption of the rabbit demon was observing everything from within the woods, lamenting, "Ah, I need to find a new toy." Shortly after, a drizzle began to fall through the forest. It washed away the bloody and fishy stench left after the fight. The raindrops hit Su-Su's face. He only felt endless coldness, even lacking the strength to clench his fists. Am I going to die? He wondered. At that moment, the black fox silently approached Su-Su. You're about to die. Do you want to live? Said the black fox, while Su-Su looked at him in despair. Tears involuntarily welled up in my eyes, stretching out my hand with the last of my strength. I don't want to die yet. At that moment, the black fox unhesitatingly took Su-Su's hand for help. I really don't like owing others favors, even though last week's meddling was purely out of line. While saying this, he exerted his magical power and transformed into his original form as a black fox. Human life lasts no more than 100 years. Born with 3 hearts, the black fox could lend a few decades without a care. Get away, you monster. The words were hurled at a boy with beast ears. Crying incessantly, frightened, amidst the woman's piercing accusations, the boy raised scissors and fiercely cut at his own beast ears. How I wish I weren't a demon. Soon after, the boy without beast ears cried out, "Mom," to the woman. The woman then gently sighed and said, "Fu you." At that moment, Su-Su suddenly woke up with a start in bed. "Fu you? Is that the name of the black fox that saved me? Was everything I just saw a dream or reality?" At this moment, my good friend Chiunin shouted, "Sichung," waking me up. Chiunin came in with our homeroom teacher, Pal, and said to Su-Su, "You were found in the backwoods this morning and taken to the infirmary. I knocked on your door this morning and got no answer. I was super worried about you. What exactly happened to you last night?" At this time, Su-Su was still looking down at his chest, wondering, am I still alive? I was clearly hit by a demon's spear, and I'm injured too. I don't know, that feeling of being close to death felt so real. Seeing that Su-Su didn't speak, the homeroom teacher, afraid of disturbing him, then said, "Let him rest more for now." But Chiunin was complaining on the side, "No smoking in the sick room." While they were teasing and scolding each other, suddenly they looked at Su-Su. "What are you doing?" After being discharged, Su-Su looked at the empty seat beside him. "Fuyu didn't come today either? Why hasn't Yumi, the rabbit demon, appeared either? I must find out what exactly happened that night." Having arrived at Fuyu's place, Su-Su went alone to the dormitory floor for the demon-like creatures. But Su-Su couldn't figure out which dormitory it was. Suddenly, a conversation came from inside a room. Startled, Su-Su quickly hid. "Ouch, I heard that the rule breaker was caught. The night ban can finally be lifted, right? After half a year of chaos, he really is something. Now he's definitely going to be wiped out, right? The rule breaker? Are they talking about Yumi?" At this moment, Su-Su's mind conjured the image of Fuyu. Black foxes are born with 3 hearts. Lending you a few decades is no big deal. Fuyu's last words made Su-Su nervously clutch his chest. "So, the heart beating in my body now is his?" As he was speaking, his heartbeat suddenly quickened, as if it would jump out of his chest. Was it an illusion? Was it an illusion? But the real pain, like a knife twisting, made Su-Su curl up and squat down. It was not an illusion. Su-Su trembled and slumped against the wall. Feeling dizzy and gasping for breath, he didn't realize that blue patterns were slowly growing on his body. Just as Su-Su was about to suffocate from the pain, a familiar voice suddenly came. Indeed, it's useless without nourishment. That familiar voice was Fuyu, who approached Su-Su with snacks. In the next second, the sound of snacks falling crisply to the ground was heard, while Fuyu grabbed Su-Su's chin. Leaning down, he pinned the almost unconscious Su-Su to the corner. Then, through the contact of their lips, he transferred essence and nourishment to Su. At this moment, the view outside was exceptionally beautiful, and the sound of the breeze rustling the leaves was particularly enchanting. Under the witness of the Academy's Master of Ceremonies, human boys and monsters can form a paw. At this moment, the black fox puts an ear cuff on the human boy Su. I'll just keep your heart beating, don't expect me to care about anything else. It turns out that black foxes are born with 3 hearts. During the moments when Su was close to death, at the brink of death, it was Heihu who saved the human, Su. However, Heihu had not appeared in the days that followed, causing Su to feel uneasy. While searching for Heihu, Su nearly succumbed to a relapse of his condition. Heihu appeared once again in time to save Su, but a recuperating Su pushed Heihu away. What are you doing? Unfazed, Heihu walked aside, picked up some snacks from the ground, and said, maybe it would be better to let you die. Without my vital energy to nourish you, your heart wouldn't last a few days and you will once again become a corpse. At that moment, realization dawned upon Su. It was all true, he had saved me. Then, trembling, he stood up. Su's earlier act of pushing Heihu away made Heihu feel like his kindness was taken for granted, prompting him to complain again. Really, what a hassle. If I let you die, would the blame fall on me? Suddenly, Su grabbed Heihu's clothes. What are you doing? Let go. Why? I can't die. What? I can't die just yet. Since you saved me, you have to take responsibility. Then, Su slowly approached. Fuyu, please be my pal. For the sake of the promise to my father, I must not die now. Huh? Why should I do such a troublesome thing? Let go. Su's hand was trembling non-stop, along with her reluctant expression. HMPH, you're clearly so scared yet trying to act calm. That's why I hate humans the most. Saying that, he grabbed Su and started walking. Where are you taking me? Looking up, it turned out to be the information submission desk. The MC incessantly read the newlyweds' blessings and vows. As a mythical creature, you must protect the human pal's life. Woof. You can't force humans. Woof. Before he could finish, the black fox slammed the table, with cheese spread everywhere. The MC, trembling, handed over the token cheese spread. It was a pair of Golden Cuff Links cheese spread. The impatient black fox brought cheese to Su the next moment, leaving the manor. I only care about keeping your heart beating. Don't expect me to care about anything else. As the saying goes, the colder the beginning, the deeper the affection to follow. Is the union between a human and a monster mutual salvation, or is it growing together? This human boy and the fox demon formed a pact, sharing a heart. In the next moment, the two found themselves under the flowers and moon, witnessing the wonders of love. But the black fox arrogantly stated, I am only responsible for sustaining your life. Don't expect me to deal with any other troubles. It turns out that the black fox had saved the human boy Su by accident, leaving the scolded Su shocked at heart. Watching Su's expression, the black fox bristled and questioned whether Su was still unsatisfied, while Su looked away, feeling somewhat surprised. Actually, I was prepared to pester you for months, Su said. I didn't expect you to suddenly. Hearing this, Black Fox's face was speechless, and then there was that matter of nourishment. Do we have to stick together every time? Stick together? The candy in Black Fox's hand flew out instantly. The words, stick together, made Black Fox blush in an instant. How could such a pure act of giving nourishment be called sticking together? Not expecting such a strong reaction from the Black Fox, Su was genuinely startled, and then shyly said, actually, she had never been close to anyone else in 19 years. But this kind of thing shouldn't be a big deal for a demon, right? And the Black Fox nonchalantly said, what's the big deal? It's also my first time in over 50 years. As soon as they spoke, both of them were stunned. They didn't expect that it was both their first pure love encounter. Then the Black Fox turned around in frustration and said, HMPH. What a bother. The neck or the wrist artery will do too. Still grumbling fiercely, that just now can't be considered being close, you hear me? Looking at the Black Fox's ears flushed red from behind. Su thought to herself that the Black Fox wasn't that hard to get along with after all. Meanwhile, the dog that seemed so solemn in the morning was now frantically searching for something. Su Yuan, I found it. The special human recruit smelled it before. That scent seems familiar, but not quite. Is it really just my imagination? The next day, while Su Su was dining, she was greeted by Chu Nan's big face asking, "So, how did you end up partnering with Fu Yu, that guy?" Meanwhile, Su Su's mind kept drifting back to the scene of her and Black Fox Fu Yu being close. Why does she keep recalling that intense and thrilling sensation, making her cover her blushing face involuntarily? And what exactly happened in the forest that night? You haven't told me yet. Chu Nan was still full of concerned gossip when suddenly a familiar voice interrupted the two. "It seems you found your paw, Xiao?" At this moment, a bystander muttered, "My God, it's Lord Xiao." Unconcerned, Xiao picked up some pastries and said, "It's all so good. It's very dangerous for you to be alone in August. Having a partner eases my mind." After finishing speaking, he walked away to the side, and at that moment, the waiter behind Theo suddenly stopped in his tracks, then stared straight at Su Su. "Did I just get glared at?" An amber gem twinkled in the darkness. Theo fiddled with the gemstone necklace on the sofa, and its uniqueness mysteriously resembled Theo's eyes. At that time, a servant was helping him dress, carefully inquiring who the human was in the cafeteria during the day, to which Theo responded indifferently, "Just a human I found interesting." The servant grew a bit flustered by the simple remark, realizing it was the waiter who had followed Theo during the day. "Master, you." Theo then placed his hand on the servant's shoulder, reassuring him with, "Don't worry, I won't make the same mistake again." This group of immortal beings, nearly eternal, wield the power to judge everything at August Academy, where humans and demi-humans gather. If one does not comply with their rules, their entire race will be struck off and blacklisted. Facing the threat of extinction, no one should be trifled with more than the Bloodfeast clan. Just now, Xiunan was still asking Su Su how she knows theater. Theater? Upon hearing this, Xiunan suddenly covers Su Su's mouth. "You should call him Lord Theater or use his full name. He is from the Bloodfeast clan. Isn't he the first in the sequence listed in the Og's Demon Compendium?" "That's right, and Theater is an extremely rare pure-blooded lineage. Moreover, Theater is an extremely rare pure-blood lineage, rumored to be a direct descendant of nobility." Xiunan watched as Su Su sighed like a love-struck fool. "You seem to have done a lot of research on them." "That's right, because Bloodfeast is the only race that can transform humans into the undead." Speaking of which, Xiunan, who thought Su Su would be somewhat moved by this, couldn't help but sweat silently. "I'm sorry, I just got inexplicably excited." The atmosphere became as awkward as it could possibly be. Taking a sip of water, Xiunan thought to himself that he had to quickly find something to talk about. "I've talked the conversation to death again." "Oh, that's right. I've always been curious. This watch looks so old-fashioned. Why do you carry a watch when you have a cell phone?" Su Su, who was taken aback for a moment, suddenly looked down. "This is a keepsake from my father." This made Xiunan feel embarrassed and he shrank back a bit. "I'm really sorry." Then he enthusiastically continued, but before he could finish, Su Su interrupted him. "It's okay now. Actually, I don't remember much either." Xiunan felt a bit regretful hearing this. Su Su spoke unhurriedly. "My dad seems to have passed away not long after I began to remember things, and actually, I don't really remember much before the age of 8. My memory is like looking through a thick frosted glass. I can't recall anything. So it's really okay." Xiunan didn't say anything after hearing this, but his gaze held some unspeakable secret. Is it really okay? The next day comes in the blink of an eye, and Su Su looks at the date on his phone with a heavy heart. It seems like there's something important to do. The next second, he's in the homeroom teacher's office. His gaze lingers on a leave application form. But isn't it true that with a paw you can get a pass to go out? It turns out that Su Su formed a paw with He Hu to be able to get a pass to visit his mother. But at this moment, the homeroom teacher seems unwilling to approve his application. He then lowers his head in distress and sighs. Because He Hu is of a gray-listed species, he must obtain the principal's approval to leave the academy. At this time, He Hu is slumped in a corner, continuously touching his hair, as if some recessive factor is tugging at his Y chromosome. Damn it, if I had known, I wouldn't have cared about that human's life or death. In a great war 1,000 years ago, humans massively hunted down demon-like creatures. Eventually, the scattered demon-like creatures gradually formed groups, and a few powerful ones established the August Academy. An important factor for peace between humans and demons is that all demons strictly follow the hidden rules of August. Weaker demons cannot take human form and are never allowed to leave the academy. But there are some demons that naturally prey on humans and simply cannot suppress their bloodthirsty nature. The Heihu demon is one of them, innately fond of absorbing human essence. Although it's not a necessity, it has a great appeal. The Black Fox clan has a history of nearly 1,000 years, but they don't have the ability to reproduce within their own species. Only through mingling with humans is there a very small chance that a black fox will appear among their offspring. Therefore, the clan keeps many human slaves. If a human child is born, they continue to provide energy or reproduce to sustain the whole clan. For 100 years, the Black Fox family has been able to perfectly self-sustain, so they no longer need to hunt outside. Thus, they are not on the blacklist. However, they are still closely monitored by August and are listed on the gray list for species. Su, who was thinking of applying to leave August just now, learned about the history of the Black Fox family from the homeroom teacher. It seems that only by having the Black Fox seek the principal's approval for the application can they leave the school. But at this moment, the Black Fox was caught in a tortuous nausea. He even wanted to crush all the candy in his mouth. He regretted caring about that person's life or death. Just encountering humans makes him feel nauseous. Damn, at this moment, Su suddenly pushed the door open. Handing over the application to leave, he still hesitated a bit. Homeroom teacher Fu Yu said that only you can get the principal's approval for the leave permit. Before he could finish, the Black Fox immediately said no. Then he pushed Su against the wall. The thing I hate most is humans. It's even more impossible for me to beg that old man for you. At this moment, in Su's mind, scenes of childhood trauma with his mother kept flashing through his mind. He swallowed nervously, yet firmly stated, "But I must go out. Otherwise, who knows what those guys would do." But the Black Fox quickly retorted, "What's that got to do with me?" However, the hand pressed against the wall clenched into a fist involuntarily. It seemed he had developed feelings for Su, but in the next second, he turned to leave, saying, "I've already told you, don't come to me for anything other than making sure you stay alive." And Su, whose hand had been clenched in tension all this while, finally relaxed it, thinking, yes, he has no obligation to grant my request. Feeling helpless, he curled up weakly, thinking, but you don't understand that feeling. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said all this to you. It's just my own selfish desire. But apart from you, I have no other way, he thought, as the authoritarian Black Fox had just left abruptly. Yet, he stopped just around the corner. Both with their backs to each other, they were both thinking of one another. Why can't either of us take the initiative? Is it that we have to face regret before we learn to cherish? At that moment, it seemed as though the Black Fox wanted to turn back and say something, but ultimately, he chose to leave. Meanwhile, Su was reminiscing about his childhood memories. What are you doing? I saw several big men moving things out of Susu's house constantly. And young Su, who was only half the height of the washing machine, but his desire to protect his home made him bravely shout, "Even if I have to sell my blood, I will definitely repay you on time. You are not allowed to hurt my family anymore." Beimei's Wang. No way. The Black Fox who had saved Su from near death the day before, decisively rejected Susu's application to leave August this time. Is he really as cold-blooded as he says? The next day after school, Su was still planning how to leave August in other ways. Thinking of the pain of touching the barrier last time, made him clench his teeth and tremble in frustration. What should I do? Just then, a large figure appeared in front of him. He was particularly nervous at this moment. The next second, the proud Black Fox slapped a piece of paper on Su and said disdainfully, "Is this okay now?" And then, disdainfully said, "This should be enough, right?" Su picks it up and sees that it's an outing application with the principal's approval stamp. Just a second ago, he was refusing. The next second, he was asking someone else for help. Su, puzzled, kept asking why. Black Fox, with a sunere twist of his head, said, "It was just a whim. I should at least let me say thank you properly before I go. This is really important to me." Looking at him, Black Fox was completely indifferent. Such things really don't matter, do they? And you? How come you're not at all wary of demonkind? Then, pulling Su along, he slowly explained, "It has nothing to do with being human or demonkind." At that moment, their eyes met, and both felt an indescribable emotion. Invisibly, it seemed to inexplicably pull the distance between them closer. HMPH, what's the big deal? It's not something noble. I did it just for myself. Saying so, He brushed Su Su's hand away. At that moment, Su Su was somewhat bewildered. What did you say? The next second, Black Fox loudly scolded, "Stop fussing. Also, I want to go out with you tomorrow." Su Su, who was already confused, now felt even more bewildered. Little did they know, their conversation was being clearly overheard by a little demon twirling a pen by the window. Things seemed to be getting interesting. Before this, Black Fox, who had directly left for the rooftop, went to the principal's office. "Oh dear, I thought you came to me this afternoon for something. How come you suddenly got interested in someone else and wanted their file?" Turns out, the little demon twirling the pen was the sloppy old man Black Fox mentioned. And the sloppy old man kept teasing him. "Let me see. Ah, it's a single-parent family, only a mother at home." The next second, Black Fox slammed his hand on the table for a stamp, but the intrigued sloppy old man couldn't stop himself. "Are you getting sentimental?" Annoyed, Black Fox got furiously embarrassed. "Old man, stop your blabbering. It's scary how you talk. It really hurts one's feelings," he said, before stamping the outing application for Black Fox. All right. How could I give you a hard time? You are my obedient dog for free. This sudden gloom is making me lose control." But the next second, the next constant second, the quirky old man keeps rummaging for something. Right. By the way, help me bring back a few things." The irked Black Fox suddenly feels displeased, thinking, "I'm not going out anyway." Then the old man takes out some embarrassing figures and empty capsules from Gashapon Toys, saying, "Don't come back until you've collected the full set. I'll give you a list." While saying this, he hands over a black card. "Don't panic. This unlimited black card is for you to swipe at will, covering your food and accommodation. One day, old man, I'll wipe that smile off your face." Just the day before yesterday, these two boys became pa under the moonlit flowers. The next second, he was brought back home. Is meeting the parents so sudden these days? Su Su, who obtained the permission to go out through the Black Fox, now stands at the school gate, apparently pondering something. At that moment, Black Fox Fu Yu suddenly stands beside her, giving the uneasy Su Su a sense of security. With a call to leave, the two pass through the barrier of August. After many days, Su Su finally returns to the bustling real world. "We've just crossed over? It doesn't feel real at all. Looking back at the gate, it's just an ordinary human academy. The time spent at the Demon Academy feels like a distant memory." The scene shifts, and the two arrive at a lively, busy street. "Look at those two," exclaims someone as Black Fox stares ahead in embarrassed fury. At the same moment, the phone reminds, "You have reached your destination. Navigation has ended." What caught my eye were all these embarrassing figurines and flagship store posters. At that moment, Black Fox immediately turned around and explained to Su Su, "This isn't what I'm here to buy." But this explanation took Su Su by surprise. "Aren't you guys a couple?" The clerk then apologetically said, "I'm really sorry, the limited edition for handsome guys won't arrive until the day after tomorrow." At this, the speechless Black Fox was reminded of the old man principal's instruction, "I've given you a pass, but it comes with conditions, huh? Have fun." Seeing Black Fox was still insistent on buying, he then said, "If you don't mind, you could stay at my place for a few days. Although it's a bit cramped." Before he could finish, "I'll stay in a hotel," Black Fox quickly intervened, "No need for a hotel, I'll just stay in a hotel." But looking at Black Fox's empty pockets, Su Su struck a fatal blow with, "Did you bring your ID?" Because Black Fox, unfamiliar with human society, had no choice but to follow Su Su home. On their way home, Su Su noticed Black Fox constantly eyeing the donuts in a bakery, about to buy a few to feed him when Black Fox pulled at his collar, pretending not to care when he clearly wanted some. But on closer inspection, Su Su saw the bakery was crowded, suddenly recalling a conversation with the head teacher. Black Fox inherently enjoys absorbing human essence, though not a necessity. Isn't it uncomfortable? But it has a great attraction, isn't it uncomfortable? Not long after, with a click of the door opening, "Mom, I'm back." Suddenly startled, Su Su's mother quickly hid something under the quilt. "Why didn't you let us know you were coming back?" Before she finished speaking, she turned to look at the tall guy next to Su Su. Seeing her mother's confused face, Su Su hurriedly explained, "This is Fu Yu, my classmate from university." Seeing that Su Su had brought a classmate home, and such a tall and handsome young man at that, Susu's mom quickly sent Susu to the supermarket to buy some groceries to make a delicious meal for the evening. Suspecting that the supermarket would be crowded, Susu bent down and whispered to Heihu, "You don't like staying in places with too many people for too long. Just wait for me at home." The warmth of her breath lingered on Heihu's ear. This sudden gesture left Heihu somewhat at a loss, thinking, "Who asked for your concern?" But the next second, Susu, walking alone on the street, was targeted once again. How difficult it is to take care of a tall and handsome black fox demon. He just got his favorite donuts from the supermarket, but the next second, he slapped them to the ground. And then he pinned her down and started to do unspeakable things, all while Susu had only just gone out to buy groceries. Suddenly, he saw donuts on the bread rack in the distance. Aren't those the donuts Fuyu has been eyeing but never bought? Without hesitation, he took a row and put them in the shopping cart. Meanwhile, at Susu's house, Susu's mom liked Fuyu more and more as she looked at him.
Susu's mom looked at Fuyu and liked him more and more. Noticing that Fuyu was curious about the group photo on the table, she smiled and said it was a photo of the family when they were young. Little Susu in the photo had big, wide eyes and was happily posing for the camera. But Susu's mom sighed, saying that ever since the painful incident at home, Susu never consulted her anymore and handled everything alone. Children should be able to act spoiled, right? Oh, by the way, how is Susu doing at university? He never brought friends over. You must have a good relationship, right? Fuyu, looking at the photo, softly said, "I don't know him very well yet." Meanwhile, Susu, having just finished shopping, was on the way home. The sharp Susu noticed some movement behind him and quickened his pace at the corner. The shadow, realizing something was wrong, also sped up, and the next second they were face to face. "Are you following me? Don't exaggerate, don't be nervous. I even collected rent a few times before. Don't pretend you don't recognize me. I just need to confirm if your family can pay this month." "What did you say?" "Every month we always." The sentence was left unfinished. Susu was held by the neck by the thug and continued, "You want to delay with just a fraction? We are not a charity. Maybe you should sell something else to make up the difference. Otherwise, as soon as you leave, we might have to trouble your mother." The next moment, the frail Susu turned the tables on the thug. "Don't bother my mother. I will find a way to get you the money." Seeing they couldn't win, the thug quickly retreated. Reporting back, they said, "I didn't expect him to be so strong. He used to just know a bit, but not like this." So, the thug trembled as they explained to an unknown superior, but a thug who failed to get the job done was sure to get a slap. The next moment, a crisp slap landed on their face. "I don't want your excuses. Did I tell you to take action? How am I supposed to explain this to the higher-ups?" They shouted angrily while hitting. "It seems if there's no other way, we'll have to resort to force," they said, taking out a potion and drinking it all. Meanwhile, at Susu's dining table, Susu apologized, saying, "My mother is just like this. Please bear with her." Unexpectedly, Fuyu looked at the mountain of food in his bowl and quietly said, "This is nice." Just as Susu was about to say something, Susu's mother interrupted, "Ah. Susu, what happened to your hand?" Susu's hand, holding the chopsticks, still had traces of blood on the knuckles. Awkwardly, Susu explained, "The cockroaches in the south are so big, they startled me, and I accidentally hit something on the road." But Fuyu, seeing through everything, frowned deeply. After dinner, Susu picked up their pajamas to give to Fuyu to wear. She thoughtfully made the bed. Recently, Susu realized that even though Fuyu looks fierce, he's actually easy to get along with. As long as you pet him the right way, he can be easily appeased. Remembering the evening when Fuyu didn't seem to reject his mother, Susu tentatively asked, "Fuyu, you don't actually hate humans, do you?" Memories of being scolded by his mother, calling him a monster, suddenly flooded his mind. Fuyu quickly patted Susu's hand. "What are you talking about? I said I hate them, that means I hate them." He then threw the shopping bag away. Inside were donuts that Susu secretly bought at the supermarket to surprise Fuyu. Now, they were scattered all over the floor. Susu squatted down to clean up, silently apologizing for bringing up the topic, while Fuyu looked at the cream stains on Susu's hands and her sad expression, feeling a surge of regret. With her sad expression and the cream stains on her hands, regret began to well up in his heart. Just a moment ago, the two of them were arguing fiercely. The next second, the Tsunere Black Fox barged into the bathroom and began doing indescribable things to him. Recalling how he just knocked over the donut, Black Fox remained silent in self-reproach, and Susu dared not say much, wanting to take a shower to calm down. As she walked towards the bathroom, she couldn't suppress her inner distress. "I seem to have touched on his unhappy memories. I thought I had gotten to know him better, even feeling a bit of joy at what I believed to be a discovered secret. In fact, I know nothing. I really overstepped my boundaries. He hates me now. Suddenly, a sharp pain came from her heart. Susu looked up sharply and realized the blue pattern had spread widely from her heart. In the room, Black Fox was still recalling Susu's apologetic expression. He couldn't help but feel a bit of self-blame. Damn, why apologize? At this moment, a crashing sound came from the bathroom. Susu was kneeling on the floor, weakened by the stabbing pain from her heart. Black Fox immediately went over and asked loudly, "Hey, what's wrong?" Hearing Black Fox's inquiry, Susu was startled, thinking, "Oh no, it's over. Is there something to cover up with?" While feeling perplexed, I found a towel. Then, with the last of my strength, I pulled it down. Heihu didn't get a response from Susu for a while, so he pushed open the door forcefully and asked, "What on earth are you doing?" Susu, drenched and leaning against the cabinet, had blue patterns covering his neck and was gasping for air. In a low voice, he said, I wanted to go out by myself, but I just couldn't muster the strength." Seeing this, Heihu strode forward and, grabbing Susu's feeble hand, demanded, "Are you an idiot? You should have called me at a time like this. Why try so hard? If I hadn't come in, would you have just waited here to die?" But at this moment, Susu could barely hear Heihu's anxious and angry words. Yet, deep inside, he felt a surge of joy, thinking, so he doesn't hate me after all. Seeing Susu still smiling, Heihu became even more irritable. "You're hurt, and you've made a mess, yet you're not angry? I really don't understand you." And Susu, weak and barely able to hear, muttered to himself, "What did you say? I can't hear very clearly right now. I'm really sorry for what I said earlier. I just wanted to understand you more and hope to make you happier." Before Susu could finish, he fainted. Immediately, Heihu bit through his own lip with his tiger teeth, and gently licked Susa's wound. The injury healed at a rate visible to the naked eye. Then the Black Fox slowly approached Susa's body, stopping at the neck, and began to continuously draw something out. Blue patterns were also gradually extracted from Susa's body. After everything, in the dim room, the Black Fox silently stayed by Susa's bedside and then picked up the smashed donut from the trash bin. After taking a gentle bite, he leaned down and whispered in Susa's ear that it was delicious, followed by the sound of a door closing. As the sound of the door closing echoed, Susu shyly opened her eyes. This is a world where creatures resembling demons gather, and the Black Fox, who naturally enjoys feeding on humans, picked up a donut from the trash can and took a bite. Then, speaking to the human Susu on the bed, said it was delicious. What neither of them knew was that their relationship had quietly changed at that moment. Recalling Fu Yu's approach last night, Susa's heart was still pounding. But Fu Yu's figure was already absent early in the morning. Susu guessed if Fu Yu had gone back to school in a huff. Feeling an emptiness by his side, he sighed, and his mood inevitably became a bit downcast. At this moment, Susa's mom came over to ask about Fu Yu's whereabouts, and Susu, not knowing either, just said that Fu Yu had gone out to take care of something. "Oh, I heard some sounds last night and thought you two had a fight. I saw your earrings, don't think I didn't notice." Hee, Susa's mom chuckled mischievously as she turned to go out to throw the trash. But as her collar shifted, Susu suddenly noticed the bruises on her neck. She then stepped forward and asked what happened, saying that the debt had been repaid long ago. Was it those guys? Before she could finish speaking, a dagger gleaming with cold light suddenly darted out from the crack of the door. "You ask who these guys are?" Turns out it was the boss of the thug from yesterday, who had already silently sneaked into Susu's house, and threatened, if it weren't for us pulling strings to smuggle you and your mother here, who knows where you would have died miserably. A little interest is not too much to ask, right? After saying this, the thug beside him made Susu's mom faint. The next second, the big thug grabbed Susu's arm. "Now I just want you to cooperate a little, it won't be hard on you." Susu, wanting to fight back with all her might, found she couldn't move her arm at all. "Don't waste your energy. I'm not like those others," said the big thug, whose eyes suddenly turned red. Susu was shocked. It turns out this person is a kind of demon. Even though Susu's physical abilities had improved after obtaining Fuyu's heart, as a human, she still stood no chance against a demon. If only he were here. At this moment, Fuyu's image flashed in Susu's mind. She had always been strong before meeting Fuyu, but now, she actually felt the urge to rely on him. Just then, with a bang, the big thug was suddenly slammed against the doorframe. Out of the way, Fuyu shoved the thug aside and then walked up to Susu. "Do you want my help? I want you to tell me yourself." Looking into Fuyu's eyes, Susu couldn't help but say, please help me. Why do I find myself uncontrollably wanting to rely on him? This is a school where humans and monsters gather, and some monsters naturally enjoy consuming humans, and Heihu, who shares the bed with human Susu, now reveals his true form, preparing to do unspeakable things to Susu, just as Heihu, who just came back from buying a figure, sees some thugs bullying Susu's family. The next second he smashes the thugs against the wall. Then, he walks up to Susu and asks, "Do you need my help?" "I want you to tell me." In this moment, the long-suppressed Susu seems to have also seen her own light. "Please, please help me." And at this time, after the thug gets up and wants to start another fight, a black card is slammed onto his face with the words, "Settled." At this moment, the aura emanating from Heihu can be said to be an instinctual suppression to rodent-like monsters, immediately causing the thug to be so nervous that he couldn't speak. "How much? The more the better." As he spoke, a pathetic principal in some corner kept sneezing and the panicking thugs were discussing, "Boss, what do we do now? Are we just going to let it go? How should I know? I didn't expect that kid to be connected to the academy. Now it's tough to intervene." The thugs, pondering for a moment, seem to have thought of something. "Wait a minute. That guy seems to be looked after by Boss Black Fox." Susu, somewhat panicked, indicates she will repay the money. But Fu Yu responds dominantly, saying it's not needed. More than that, Fu Yu is more concerned about how Su Su's family got involved with these people. Holding her unconscious mother, Susu couldn't help but recall, "Actually, it's not anything special. My mom got pregnant with me before she was married, and that offended some people. They wanted to force her to have an abortion, and with no way out, she could only seek help from unorthodox figures. They smuggled us here to start a new life. Although the initial money borrowed has been repaid, there's still a large amount of interest. If we refuse to pay that interest, we can't continue living in this house." Seeing Su Su's distressed look, Fu Yu slowly approached and said, "Do you know why August specifically targets people who have had dealings with demons and those like you, isolated and helpless in human society? It's because even if something goes wrong during school, you can be quickly dealt with and completely erased from this world. Speaking of mutual benefits, August is just using you. People like you who never doubt, I really am." While saying this, we at Black Fox almost lost our national essence. "Are you deceiving me?" Su Su's sudden questioning left Black Fox at a loss for words. "No, not at all." "That's good then." Seeing Su, who now knew the truth, still moving forward with a smile, she said, "Unless all my memories are erased, there's no way I can extricate myself from this matter with the supernatural beings. I'm not someone great. I'll be satisfied just doing my best to protect my own world. On the bright side, after graduation, the academy will arrange a decent job for me. It's not that bad, really." Listening, Fu Yu thought to himself, having faced such things, she can still look forward. "But do you know that anyone related to me never ends up with a good fate?" By evening, Su was leaning on the headboard, lost in thought. The next second, Fu Yu, wearing Su Su's pajamas, walked out of the bathroom. Su instantly turned her head away in shyness, secretly admiring his physique, and then casually asked, "Where did you sleep last night?" As Fu Yu climbed into bed, he replied with a haughty air, "Wherever I went, it's none of your business." But inside, Su felt somewhat annoyed and slowly moved closer to Fu Yu. Then slowly approached Fu Yu, whispering in his ear that actually, I could buy another donut for you. Fu Yu was stunned for a moment. "What are you saying? You didn't finish your sentence." The thought of secretly eating the donut last night and the words said afterwards flashed in his mind, making him instantly blush. He dove under the covers, saying, "Sleep." Late at night, Fu Yu watched Su sleeping peacefully. The blood within him began to surge uncontrollably. The overwhelming excitement made him unable to restrain himself. As he revealed his true form, he bit his hand. No, that frightening appearance must not be seen by him. This man is one of the strongest monsters among Black Fox-type demons, and Black Fox-type demons naturally enjoy absorbing human essence. But the innately kind Fu Yu wanted to alleviate it by eating donuts. At this point, unable to hold back, he asked Su, "When will you buy me donuts?" Just now, after waking up, the two of them packed their things and prepared to return to August Academy. Su Su's mother kept reminding Su, while Fu Yu stared intently at the figurine entrusted by the principal. He looked blurry-eyed and his hands began to tremble non-stop. Seeing this, Su immediately approached and asked, "What's wrong with you?" Snapping out of it, Fu Yu pretended nothing was wrong, picked up the figurine, and muttered to himself that one set for the stinky old man would be enough. At that moment, Su Su's mom walked over to Fu Yu. "Please take good care of Su, she said. Fu Yu, who had grown up isolated, felt valued at that moment of being entrusted. "Let's go," he said, and at the same time, Fu Yu gently responded to Su Su's mom with an, "Okay." Soon, the two were walking on the bustling street. Seeing Fu Yu's distressed expression, Su thought to herself that he must be suffering in the midst of so many humans. Moreover, she had never seen him absorb the essence of humans. Instead, he was transferring it to her, which must have been a huge drain on him. Then, she grabbed Fu Yu's hand and said, "How about we wait and go later? Let's rest in an alley where there are no people." This sudden hand-holding made the usually aloof Fu Yu blush in an instant. I'm fine, what could be wrong with me?" Seeing the act of letting go made them both a bit awkward, and then Fu Yu smoothly changed the subject. Didn't you say you wanted to buy another one of those? Which one? That one, the donut. Just a second ago, the jerk Su had made a promise, and the next second he forgot, infuriating Fu Yu, who was both embarrassed and bristling with anger. Seeing how adorable Fu Yu looked, Su couldn't help but laugh out loud. Then wait here for me. I'll be right back, I'll be right back. Watching Su walk away slowly, Fu Yu sighed softly, his vision blurring uncontrollably once again. Is it really because I've been using it too much lately? Meanwhile, a man in black in the alley next door was also constantly controlling his emotions. The traitor must be killed. And Su, who had just bought donuts, was walking out. At that moment, he overheard the conversation of the passing girls clearly. That person is so scary, like a beast that wants to eat people. I told you not to walk through those alleys. It's creepy. Noticing the direction they came from, Su thought to himself that it was the direction where Fu Yu was. Meanwhile, Fu Yu was squatting down, resting. I really ran into it. I wasn't wrong, you are the black fox, the traitor who wags his tail at August. As he said this, he kept getting closer. Ha ha ha, every time I see you, I want to kill you once. Before he finished speaking, he suddenly charged at Fu Yu and attacked. How does it feel to be a lackey? Must feel great, huh? Watching this being hunted down while you can smugly stay out of it, huh? Living in darkness, sleeping in the gutter, living in constant fear every day, barely scraping by. I bet you can't even imagine it, so the thought of being able to kill you excites me endlessly. So, after the big thug got beaten at home, he went and drank the hallucinogenic potion to seek revenge. Seeing that he had taken the potion, Fu Yu no longer hid his strength, and a fierce flame erupted in his palm. He then fiercely grabbed his face, while continuously intensifying the burning flame. The scorching flames made the thug scream in pain. Turns out it doesn't hurt at all. Take a break. Have you ever seen a human willingly offer their energy to a demon? This man is a black fox demon, one of the strongest types. But black foxes naturally crave human energy. Being away for a long time without consuming any, when he encountered a small demon, he could only take a beating. Just as that person said, you're nearly exhausted. No wonder since a moment ago, you haven't transformed into your demon form. You're afraid that if you transform, you won't be able to revert back to human, aren't you? What's the matter? Didn't that boy Su Yuan satisfy you well? Ha ha ha, how ridiculous. Seeing how much that kid trusts you, could it be he still doesn't know you're a monster who sucks human blood? How interesting. I'm suddenly very curious about what he'll look like when he finds out. Before he could finish talking, a brick suddenly flew out from behind and smashed into his head. Turns out it was Su. Before the thug could react, Su quickly grabbed Fu Yu's hand and ran. Soon it was night. Stop hiding. With someone who can't maintain their human form, where can you run? The thug who was hit on the head still followed closely, while Su and Fu Yu, who tried to run away, hid in a small alley nearby. Su, glancing outside a few times, didn't see the thug's figure. He seems to have left. However, Fu Yu, quite displeased, said, Hey, guess what I'm doing here? That kind of small fry is not a problem at all. You roll back on your own. But Su, still angry, gently touched Fu Yu's forehead. What nonsense are you talking about? Of course, if we come out together, we go back together. Knowing that Fu Yu hasn't sucked the essence from humans, Su worriedly touched his wound. As expected, your wound is healing so slowly. The next second, Fu Yu grabbed his hand. Stop touching randomly. Fu Yu, can't you absorb my essence? Su's sudden concern gave Fu Yu's heart a jolt. From the first time he met this human, he was clearly very weak. Yet, he was unusually resolute, an indescribable contradiction. But whenever he spoke, he would always look straight into my eyes. But when he speaks, he always looks directly into my eyes. No matter how scared he is, he never avoids it. Because of this, I fear seeing these eyes also clouded with disgust. You have no idea what kind of invitation you're making. Do you know what I might do to you for such things? As Fu Yu spoke, his fist struck the wall next to Su, continuously approaching Su. Then lifted his chin, whispering, I will confine you. With your human strength, no matter how you struggle, you won't escape. Then I'll bite into your thickest artery, drain your blood, and let you grow colder and colder. Now you should understand, recently you've been acting like we're very close. So I need to make it clear, I'm not playing some friendship game with you. Don't provoke me without permission, or you won't know how terrible the things I'll do to you could be. At this moment, Su felt like Fu Yu had become a different person. Seeing Su's current state, Fu Yu loosened his grip and stepped back. Anyway, it's raining now, so no one notices the color of my eyes. With that, he turned and left, but Su thought to himself, you clearly didn't mean that, so why say such things? Watching his departing figure, I was momentarily speechless. It was clearly so serious, yet he still had to act cool. Little did they know, their every move was being keenly observed by the lurking thugs. This boy has formed a contract with the fox demon to share a heart. At that time, the fox demon saved him out of a momentary sympathy. However, despite the fox demon's countless angry outbursts, the human boy Su still chose not to abandon him. He even blocked a fatal blow from a demon for him. Just now, the two of them had just finished a fight. Suddenly, the thugs attacked from behind. Ha ha ha, I knew you would return to the academy. There's no need to look for you, just wait here and you'll show up. At this moment, Su, who was startled, didn't choose to retreat but ran straight to the Black Fox's side. He fiercely pushed him aside while shielding him, taking the thug's fatal blow. Seeing that Su was about to collapse from the impact, he immediately held him while instantly transforming into a demon. Are you ready to pay the price? Oh ho, this guy plans to go all out. After placing Su aside, he didn't understand, and he questioned Su why. You clearly know that even if I'm injured, my wounds will heal quickly. Why would you still block it? Before he could finish, Su, trembling with pain, said, maybe for a moment, I just saw you as an ordinary person. Hearing this, Fu Yu said nothing more, took off his coat and covered Su with it. Don't worry, it'll be over soon. Seeing the fierce look of the Black Fox, the thugs kept provoking, are you angry? He was also licking Su's blood and said, this blood has a really unique taste. It's a pity it didn't hit a vital spot. But for me, it's already something to envy. The well-trained servants you have can come at your beck and call, unlike us who have to sneak around for a bite of meat. Seeing the Black Fox depleting his own essence to transform, he mocked even more. What? Didn't your servants take good care of you? Ha ha ha, you're in such a sorry state, having to burn your own blood essence. At this moment, the completely enraged Black Fox didn't want to talk anymore. In an instant, he disappeared, then with a flash, he was beside the thug, grabbing his arm. You don't need to worry about anything. I'll send you to hell right now. The transformed Black Fox tore off the thug's arm in an instant. The thug howled continuously. I don't know exactly what happened. Soon, only a puddle of blood remained under the feet of the Black Fox. At this time, two passers-by walked by and were startled by the scene, letting out a scream. It's a ghost. They shouted and ran back, not knowing that when they turned around, they bumped into another man. Then they were scared out of their wits. The class teacher thought to himself, do I really look that scary? Then he went over to Black Fox and Su. Seeing the very weak Su, the class teacher calmly said, it looks like you've overexerted your inner essence, quite a sorry state indeed. I'll notify the Black Fox family to send over a servant. I'll go, said Su, worried that Black Fox couldn't hold on, but was pushed away by Black Fox who said, get lost. I don't need you. After saying that, he could no longer hold on and fainted beside Su. Rejected, Su felt somewhat disappointed. Am I completely hated now? Shortly after, a shadow quietly approached. The homeroom teacher, familiar with the shadow, said, sorry to trouble you again. Please help erase the memories of these two humans. It's okay, consider it a small favor for the principal letting me stay here, replied Shu, who was from the founding family of August. What happens when you anger Black Fox? Su, who was just behind Black Fox, suddenly noticed a demon attack. She quickly rushed to knock Black Fox away and shielded him. She blocked a fatal blow from the demon for him. Reacting, Black Fox immediately held Su and transformed into a demon. In less than a second, he incinerated the small demon into ashes. Afterwards, everyone returned to the academy, and Su stayed by the unconscious Fuyu's side all night. As he woke up leaning against the bed, he couldn't help but feel a bit tired. He thought about standing up to stretch, only to realize that Fuyu had been staring at him all along. You're awake. Su, startled and flustered, asked while pulling out her hand that she had been hiding under the blanket. At this moment, their eyes met. Seeing this, Su quickly let go and explained that it was because you seemed to be having a nightmare, and without thinking, she just. Before she could finish, a knocking sound suddenly came from the door. Seeing this, the class teacher spoke up like a light bulb. Su Yuan, go to the principal's office. After hastily finishing his words, he dashed off, and soon Su arrived at the principal's office. Seeing Su a bit flustered, the old principal, while opening the blind box brought back by Fuyu, said, don't be so nervous. Just make yourself at home. Meeting the principal for the first time, Su thought secretly, child? But the age of demon-like creatures can't be judged by appearance. At this point, the old man continued, I roughly understood what happened last night. In short, the Black Fox gave you a heart and has to regularly provide you with energy. The recovery speed isn't as good as before. Acting without reporting puts me in a difficult position. Fortunately, that guy can endure and didn't bite anyone randomly. Otherwise, it would be more troublesome for me to handle. If it comes to the worst, we might have to deal with the Black Fox. Hearing the old man's serious approach, Susu quickly explained and apologized, "It's my fault. I didn't follow the night curfew properly and got attacked. He saved me, that's why." Before finishing, the old man interrupted, saying, "Oh, don't be so nervous. Luckily, nothing major happened. But I have an unsolved mystery. Can you tell me?" The next second, the old man took out a black card, asking why most of the money in his card mysteriously disappeared. Seeing the familiar black card, Susu realized it was the principal's card Fu Yu used to help pay off his debt. Just then, there was a sudden knock on the door from outside, interrupting them. "Excuse me, I'm the exclusive servant of Master Fu Yu," said a young woman dressed in a kimono. It turned out that last night, the homeroom teacher had someone write a letter overnight requesting a servant and mailed it to the Black Fox family. As Susu walked out of the principal's office, he seemed to be pondering something. He appeared to have an unspoken grievance, fidgeting with his hands, recalling the words the servant said in the principal's office. "Please rest assured, leave the young master's matters to me. After all, that's the reason for my existence." This statement left him at a loss for words, as if being told that Fu Yu's matters were none of his business. But isn't a large part of this my fault? After all, if it weren't for him giving me a heart, things wouldn't have been so chaotic. Now, it should have been about an hour and a half since then, right? Should it be over by now, or is it still ongoing? Could it be that they are really doing what Fu Yu said? Doing that kind of thing with that girl? Rejected me, but can accept that girl? Wait, what am I thinking? As an editor, I can practically smell the jealousy in the air. Before long, Susu arrived at the door of the Black Fox dormitory. Hesitant, he still didn't know if he should press the doorbell. After thinking it over, he just wanted to check on the physical condition, so he pressed it. The next second, the door swung open violently. "Didn't I tell you to get out? How many times do I have to say it?" He quickly composed himself after realizing it was Susu. Why is it you? Have you ever seen a human willingly provide energy to a demon? Not only did it start from the hands, but also near the nape of the neck. Just a moment ago, worried about Fu Yu's condition, Susu came to his bedroom door. After hesitating for a moment, she pressed the doorbell. But the next second, she was angrily shouted at by Fu Yu inside the room. "Didn't I tell you to get out? How many times do I have to say it?" Only to realize it was Susu, so he quickly restrained himself. "Oh, it's you," he said, thinking that Susu, who had just arrived and was almost turned away, looked puzzled. Seeing the embarrassed Fu Yu, she asked, "What are you here for?" "I just came to see if you've recovered." As Susu spoke, she kept glancing at the gap beside Fu Yu, trying to see if the servant inside had left. Seeing that she couldn't see clearly, she nervously asked, "Has she gone back yet? But wouldn't that wound hurt? Shouldn't it be treated before leaving?" Seeing Susu's anxious expression, Fu Yu couldn't help but slightly raise the corners of his mouth. But since he didn't say anything, Susu became even more worried. "Did I interrupt you? Do you want to come in?" Faced with Fu Yu's sudden invitation, Susu was a bit surprised and didn't have time to react. Fu Yu turned sideways and said, "Come in." Seeing the empty room, Susu couldn't help but sigh. But more than that, at this moment, she was more concerned about Fu Yu. She then asked, "Have you recovered?" Fu Yu, however, was full of disdain, of course. "Those guys really made a fuss over nothing. Since the day I became a black fox, I have never absorbed any essence." Susu looked at him with that harmless expression, but found that he was relieving it by biting his own lips and having the room full of candies. Then, unable to control herself, she picked up the candy wrappers from the ground and said to Fu Yu, "You're lying. You haven't recovered at all. You're not the same as before. You're missing a heart and still transferring essence to me. Your self-recovery can't keep up. Eating lots of candies to forcefully resist is useless. Did you think I wouldn't notice?" Before she could finish, Fu Yu angrily shouted, "Shut up. How I recover is my business and has nothing to do with you." Seeing Fu Yu's arrogance, Susu grabbed his clothes and shouted, "Who says it's unrelated? Why do you always refuse others' concern repeatedly? My life is tied to yours. How can you torture your body like this?" As she spoke, her hands began to tremble. "You've already become part of my world, helping me through difficulties. I thought we were already. But in your eyes, am I just an outsider?" Hearing Susu belittle herself like this made Fu Yu even more furious. He slammed his hand against the wall, "Who says?" But at that moment, due to severe lack of essence, he started clenching his teeth to control himself. Looking at Susu, he couldn't help but want to swallow his words. He then whispered to Susu, "I don't have much confidence in restraining myself right now. Get out, then don't restrain yourself. Or do I look that fragile? Or do I look weak and fragile?" Susu blurted out without thinking, causing Fu Yu's heart to tremble. He really couldn't understand where this human got such confidence. Facing this sincere person, Fu Yu began to slowly let down his guard. "You lost a lot of blood yesterday and went through so many demon-like incidents. Aren't you afraid at all? The school doctor healed the wound when we returned to school. Doesn't it hurt? It hurts, but I'm not afraid. Seeing Susu's unwavering demeanor, Fu Yu thought to himself that this person would never lose himself, no matter how difficult the situation. Once convinced, he would stick to his beliefs. The next moment, Fu Yu began to unbutton his shirt. He then moved closer, caressing Susu's delicate neck. Just as he was about to bite, he paused at the neck and gently exhaled. He then picked up Susu's slender hand. Susu, who had never experienced this, was a bit puzzled. But in the next moment, the warm breath wandered over his wrist, causing Susu to blush and his ears to turn red. In the end, Fu Yu pressed against his body and then gently bit down. What's it like to provide essence to a demon? As a human boy, Susu's collar was undone in one swift motion. Then his neck was ceaselessly caressed, with the other party constantly drawing closer. Susu, with nowhere to retreat, could only keep backing away, until he sat down on the sofa and then was shamelessly drawn in. Just when he thought he was about to be bitten, the other suddenly stopped and kept breathing hot air on his neck. At that moment, he suddenly took Susu's hand. The inexperienced Susu was a bit bewildered, and before he could react, he was tentatively and gently kissed. Soon after, he felt a soft bite on his wrist. Then, a tingling sensation like an electric shock instantly hit him. The bitten area was so hot, as if scorched. He had said that his appearance would frighten me, but I felt that this scene gave me the illusion of an addictive sensation. Not long after, both were sitting exhaustedly. With a flushed face, Susu asked if she would return to human form after recovery. Faced with Susu's question, Fu Yu was a bit confused. After recovery, she can get rid of this state. What's wrong? At that moment, Susu suddenly leaned in. I always thought your original appearance was very beautiful. Hearing this, Fu Yu instantly blushed with embarrassment. Then, touching her ears, she said, "Huh? What's good about this unattractive form?" Seeing that Fu Yu seemed to dislike her ears, Susu reached out and touched them, saying, "Not at all, they look very warm." But the next second, Fu Yu slapped her hand away. "Don't touch." Startled, Susu quickly apologized. "I'm sorry, I didn't notice there was an injury." Fu Yu, as if touched on a taboo, turned her head to the side and said, "It's an old wound, and it has nothing to do with you." Coming out of Fu Yu's room, Susu was still upset, so she hurried to the homeroom teacher, asking why a demon-like injury couldn't heal. The teacher explained softly, "There are several situations. The injury is too severe, or it was sustained when still young with little demon power, and some are injuries one is unwilling to heal. For some reason, I feel it's this reason." At that moment, Fu Yu's expression instantly froze. That injury looks very painful. Having understood everything, Susu was thinking about doing something, so she went to a dormitory door. The knocking was insistent. "It's me. Open the door." The next second, the door opened, and what she saw truly startled Susu. It turns out to be Chiunin with a face mask on, saying he'll come over after washing his face. Soon after washing his face, Chiunin, clattering away, says, "Part-time job recommendation? I've never worked part-time before, I'm not sure what to suggest." "Oh, it's okay, I'll ask someone else then." Thinking about earning some extra money, Susu, who also wanted to pay off the school principal, thought it wouldn't be easy to find a job. But after pondering for a moment, Chiunin suddenly thinks of a job. "That place should suit you. It's night work but the pay is very good. I'll call to confirm." After confirming with a call, Chiunin says, "All right," and while saying goodbye, doesn't forget to remind Susu, "The boss will tell you the details when you get there. Just say I referred you." Susu doesn't ask further and leaves. But at this moment, watching Susu slowly walk away, Chiunin's expression suddenly turns sinister. Have you ever seen a friend who pushes you into a pit of fire? At this time, Susu, who is worried about not having money to pay back the school principal, thinks of coming to Chiunin's dorm room to inquire about the matter of a part-time job introduction, although he had none to introduce. Suddenly, I remembered a place. In the end, I didn't specify what the job was, so I had Susu go for the interview first. Soon, Susu arrived at the place with supposedly good pay. Seeing that it looked like a bar, Susu hesitated. Is the night job at a bar? But since it was a job introduced by Chunan, it probably wasn't a dangerous place. Susu thought to get more details from the manager before deciding. With that in mind, Susu pushed the door open and went inside. "Sorry to interrupt, may I ask?" Before Susu could finish, a creature neither human nor demon quickly said, "Are you the kid Chunan introduced? You look quite delicate. Come in, come in." Before Susu could react, the creature pushed him inside, saying, "Perfect timing, we are short-handed tonight. The shop will open soon. Go change into your uniform. Your appearance is definitely not a problem. Just get familiar with the shop's atmosphere tonight." Seeing how enthusiastic the other was, Susu couldn't refuse and went to the changing room to put on the uniform. He quickly changed into the uniform in a second. Looking at himself in the mirror, He wondered why it looked so much like a waiter's outfit. After changing, he returned to the shop. The shop was bustling with people, mostly in pairs. Seeing this, Susu felt something was off. Could this place be? While still thinking, a colleague suddenly scolded him. "Newbie, already slacking off? Why are you standing there? Go take some orders." Wanting to observe more, Susu tentatively went to find a customer to take their order. "Hello, may I take your order?" The customer simply replied, "The usual."